Yeah, this is the last thing we're going to talk about on this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. But I have to give some information just so people can't try hitting me up and calling me all sorts of isms. So let's get on with it, shall we? Hello, everybody. Miss Jen here. Welcome to another episode of Mumbo Jumbo. That's DJBO. We are going to talk about things related to George Floyd, but not exactly about him. I already did 2 videos on this situation, and I already talked about the information that I gave. I also alliterated on it, and now I'm going to alliterate again, because I think this has to be said. And it's difficult for me to put it into the right words, but I hope you understand what I'm saying, because it's a very difficult situation, and it's very complicated, and unfortunately trying to make something complicated easy to understand is not very easy, and I don't always have the right way of saying them. Okay, what I'm saying is there's been some controversy around the hashtag of every life matters, or every lives matter. It's counterintuitive to the idea of Black Lives Matter, which has been very much on the front lines of this issue that's going on with George Floyd. The thing is that there is a problem with Black Lives Matter, and it's not what you think. I'm not saying that the movement itself is a problem. I mean, yes, I think that people of color are treated unfairly by bigots. I do believe that they are treated a lot worse because of that very reason. I don't know why the bigoted stuff still happens these days. I mean, it's been after slavery has already ended. The idea of the civil rights movement happened in the 60s. I would think we'd be over this by now, but it's still occurring. I think that in the next few years, though, it probably will dwindle a lot more. But the thing is, there's still going to be bigots out there. And bigots are on both sides of the fence. And I'm not going to say any more on that because I already talked about that in my last video. But, this is the big but here, okay? The issue happens is that it's when you put one portion of people, in this case blacks, because Black Lives Matter, you kind of lose focus of what you're trying to really accomplish, because you're trying to push them up into the spotlight, but then you dim it on every other side of the situation. What I mean is, I like to call it the pedestal effect, okay? I know there's probably an actual name for it, but I call it the pedestal effect. Whenever you play a video game like Mario Kart back in the day, or you see in a race where there is the first, second, and third pedestal for people that win a competition. Usually, when a person wins the competition, the person that's most in the spotlight, or most looked upon, is the person on the first place. Second and third did great. And there are some people that will say that did great, and then, whatever. But everyone's going to look at the first prize winner, the person that is on the top. It's the top area there. The thing is, this is what kind of happens with Black Lives Matter. We put ourselves so focused on this, we're not focused on keeping everything up to par with it. What I'm saying is that we neglect the other people that have been treated disrespectfully, or we are saying that, yeah, we know about them, but we don't mention the equality for everyone should be treated equal regardless, and we put the pedestal for the Black Lives Matter. The problem here is this. When you do that, you seem to forget that there's other things involved. And the problem here is that, yes, I understand you might not think this way. I mean, there's people that support Black Lives Matter that understand what we're trying to really do is we're trying to show people that people should be treated equally like with everybody else. And that's admirable. The problem with it is it gets so skewed because what happens is, in spite of that, everyone should be treated equally, and some people keep forgetting that. And what happens is when you forget that you're supposed to be equal, then they don't get put on the equal level, they get put on a superior level, which is kind of what I mean by the pedestal effect. So what happens is that we give them all the notice to the people of color, but I'm going to give you a little bit of information here about this. The problem is that racism is not just against black people. It's against minorities in general. And minorities don't just include people of color. They include people that are Hispanic, people that are from other countries. There is people that are white that are treated like garbage. And actually, I think I should tell you this story. I've been prejudiced against myself, in fact. Okay? Yeah, I look white. Look how white I look. See my face? I'm white as a freaking sheet. That's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean. I'm what you consider to be white, correct? Well, there's two things I want to tell you about. One that happened back in middle school, and one that happened in college. Because in high school, I lived in Naples, Florida, and there were so many Hispanics and people of color because we had a lot of the Cuban population, a lot of Haitian population there. So that wasn't a big issue. But at middle school and in college, this is a big thing because I lived around the area I am right now. In middle school, I originally lived in Mason, but then I moved to another location when my mom got married to my stepfather. Well, so for the last 2 years of my middle school, I was at a different school. It was an area school because it was so small they had everyone together, K through 12. So the thing was, one day, I don't remember what class it was, they asked us what our ethnicity was. Of course, I looked into this, and I already told you what I am. I'm part Hungarian, Serbian, German, and full half is Puerto Rican. When I said this, people completely changed around me. Some people didn't want anything to do with me. It wasn't because I was a bad person, that I was not nice to people, didn't treat people respectfully. It's because I happened to be Puerto Rican or happened to be Hispanic. Yes, a person with this complexion had people that were racist against me. And you know what's even worse is the fact that there was two other people, Hispanics, and one was literally like had the complexion of a Hispanic person, like very dark skin. They didn't care about that because she was part of their crowd, because she was born and raised in that area. See, I was an outsider. I wasn't in. I only started there that year. So what happens is it's not just about the race. It's also about, if we don't know you, we don't like you. See, so this racism thing can happen even when other people are of a similar race, because I was Puerto Rican, they were Mexican descent, or or something like that. They were looked upon just fine because people knew them, but they didn't know me enough, and so when they don't know you, they start having stereotypical views about you. And this also was happening during the whole entire Hispanic thing where, they're taking our jobs, that whole mess. So the fact is, I got prejudiced against. And a lot of times, one of the guys thought, not just would they not talk to me or be very nasty to me, they also, one of them decided to call me a half Puerto Rican bastard. I am not kidding. He would call me that all the time because he didn't understand enough. They were very ignorant. And some of them were willfully ignorant, so they were bigoted. Don't get me wrong. But that doesn't even explain what happened in college. See, in college, I went to an ethics class. Okay, I had to take something for the first year, so I took ethics. There's a lot of things with certain things religiously I don't agree with, but that's a whole nother story for another day. But we had a Lutheran minister, a woman, who was our teacher, and we had two people in this class that were extremely racist. I mean, they were dead on racist. The funny part was, though, there was a Filipino woman in there, and they didn't care about her. But again, we had to get of our ethnicity again, and so I did. You should have seen them do a 180 on me. They asked me if I drove an American, like when I got out, they would harass me, said, "You wear an American car," and harass me because I was a different person. Because I think the reason is that since I didn't look like that type of stereotype, then they don't know enough, and so they hate you because you're different. Which is weird because they didn't have any problem with a Filipino person, and you know what Filipinos look like, right? So, yeah, that's a little odd. Because bigotry doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. So that's not the point. One point I want to make. But it got to such a bad extent where they were harassing me so bad. We might even had to stop doing the ethics class because the fact is they would do some really nasty things. Okay, let me explain to you how racist these people were. These two girls, two women, but I would call them girls because I can't call people women if they act like a little child and have childish aspirations and childlike beliefs like that. So yeah, I don't call people that unless you're matured, and that's not maturity right there. But they were talking about the idea of something. I can't remember exactly. And we came up to the decision of babies. The one woman said, and I'm not quoting specifically because this has been years ago, but if she says something along the lines of, if I had Heath Blake baby, I want to get an abortion. I'm not kidding. She said this in the class. And you know what's even funnier about these two women? These two girls? Well, they were older women, slash because girls, because mentally. They wanted to be nurses. These people wanted to be nurses, and they're that bigoted. That's pretty pathetic. Because if you have that belief, no one's going to let you in that door. But I'm just saying, this whole idea of racism just being against black people is kind of funny, because I had the same type of prejudice against me. And I look white, right? I look just like an average white guy. Oh, of course. But going back to the pedestal effect here. When people online say that everyone's lives matter, they're meaning that we should say, yes, we should not have people that are colored people be treated differently and unethically, and not equally. But we have to also remember that everyone should be treated the same. If you put one person on the pedestal, then they get all the attention, and everyone else goes in the fades in the backdrop. This is the best kind of situation to explain something about some people about these riots, because you don't really hear about it a lot. There was a man by the name of David Dorn. Okay, David Dorn, I don't know where he was at. He was a ex-police sheriff. In fact, and he happened to also be black. Go figure. I'm just very saddened by what happened to this man. But he was going to protect his friend's pawn shop. So he decided that he would do that, and he had a gun and everything to take care of it. One of the rioters killed him. Oh, and not only that, it was recorded, and the guy recording it wouldn't get off his damn phone to help this man. Sorry for my swearing, but yes, seriously, he wouldn't get off his phone to help this man bleeding out. This man died. And we don't hear enough about this guy. In fact, I heard on Twitter, I don't know if this is true or not, that David Dorn is literally being silenced, that people can't talk about him because they'll suppress it on Twitter, because it doesn't fit the narrative. Okay? This is the other problem with the Black Lives Matter thing. I understand we should treat people respectfully, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't say Black Lives Matter. The problem with it is also not just the fact of the pedestal effect. It's also the fact of other people being attributed to it. They have no room to talk, and also have no use it for their own devices. Let me explain. See, Black Lives Matter has been kind of shifted by SJW, crazy people. And what they are doing is that they're using this as a leverage to try putting up other propaganda. Okay? The people that really believe in this, who really are dedicated to trying to get people equal in Black Lives Matter, I have respect for you. I do not have respect for some of the people who are attributed to you, because some of them are using you as a way to leverage themselves and to basically bash white people and bash people of a different skin tone because we don't happen to look like black people. Okay, but again, I'll state it again. Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do, but everyone's does. And it's not because we're trying to belittle the idea of the Black Lives Matter movement. We're trying to say that we need to all be treated equally, and we can't just put one above everything else, because then we lose sight of everything else. It's like a house with no walls. Yeah, you have a roof with no walls. It's not going to protect anything, is it? You need a solid foundation, is what I'm saying. You need a solid foundation for you to stand on. You can't just you need all the parts for it to work. And that's why everyone lives matter, because that is what the foundation is. Everyone should be treated equally. Everyone should be treated with respect and dignity, because the fact of the matter is Black Lives Matter isn't the issue here. The fact is, it's being used in propaganda, and it's also being utilized in the sense of is that we're looking at one side of the argument, but not the other side of that everyone should be treated equal, not just people of color. And I'm not, as I said, this sounds like I'm going and twisting things into unnecessary hoots, but I'm trying to explain to you, it's not the movement that bothers me. It's the fact that we need to put focus on the fact that because we are all human, Black lives should matter. Not that Black lives should matter and we forget everyone else that is human. So, that's my spiel. That's what I'm going to go with. This is the last video on the mention on it. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. We need to focus on every aspect, not just some portion of it, because then we get lost in the static. This has been Missing Chin. I'll see you all later. Like, comment, subscribe, because you never know what'll come out of my mouth.